Hey everybody, welcome back to Mix It Up, and today we're going to be making nut butter. Nut butter, it's something that kind of didn't really exist 10 years ago. Maybe it did, I don't know. Peanut butter's always been a thing, but your cashew butters, your almond butters, your hazelnut butters, all these things, they're kind of a newish thing. Nut butter is a thing now. I love nut butter. The worst thing about it is, well, there's two bad things about it. It's crazy expensive, and a lot of them have a lot of palm oil in them, which is super bad for a rainforest. So we'd want to avoid that if we can. Let's keep the orangutans happy. Let's make our own nut butters. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. This nut butter recipe is super easy. It's really cost effective. It's got a really long shelf life. Makes a great gift. Goes great on toast. Put a little bit in your satay. Put a little bit in your porridge. Something on your yogurt. It's so good. It's so versatile. It's so easy. There's literally 2 steps to this recipe. It's barely a recipe. It barely qualifies as cooking. It's so easy, and I think you're going to be really impressed with the results. I know I was the first time I made it. So I'm just going to talk you through what we're going to need to make this recipe. So we're going to need 100 grams of hazelnuts, 100 grams of pumpkin seeds, 100 grams of pecans, and you guessed it, 100 grams of almonds. And literally all we're going to be doing is roasting these guys off, blitzing them all together, and then we're gonna season it with a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of neutral oil, and some salt. Just extremely simple. Not like a lot of the nut butters you're gonna see in the supermarket or wherever you get your food have a lot of palm oil, have a lot of other oils in them. It's not really good value for money. They're normally about 30-40% oil, 60% nuts. So this recipe is much better, and if you manage to buy your nuts or seeds in bulk, it's even cheaper. So let's get started. So we've got 2 dishes here for roasting. We're gonna put these 3 nuts in one. Whoop, not overboard. These 3 nuts in one, and then pumpkin seeds in the other, because we're gonna add the pumpkin seeds at the end for a little bit of texture. They're not gonna get blitzed in with the rest of the nuts. So super easy. Let's just get our nuts in this tray. Hazelnuts going in, almonds going in, pecans going in. I just give them a little mix. You don't really have to give them a little mix. I just kind of want to. It just looks better if they're mixed up. And then your second, whatever you're going to roast in, I'm using frying pan purely because it's small and it's easy and it can go in the oven. But baking tray, whatever you want to use, you're just going to get in your pumpkin seeds. And we're not going to put any oil. We're not going to put any seasoning. Just these 2 things are going into the oven as is. That's it. Our oven is on 180 degrees Celsius. And we're going to put these in for 10 minutes. We're going to check them after 10 minutes. So let's do it. Oh, these guys are ready to come out of the oven. Let's have a look. Okay, so I'd say our pumpkin seeds are definitely ready. Yeah, so you can see they're nice and brown. They're not burnt or anything, but they are nice and brown. They're definitely done, so let's just put these to the side for the time being. These are going to go in once our nut butter is pretty much finished. And then let's look at our nuts. So you can see some of them have turned nice and brown. Some of them don't have a lot of color on them yet, so I'm going to put them back in the oven for like 2 more minutes. Okay. All right, these guys should be about done. Yeah. So what you want with these is most of them have turned kind of golden brown. Some of them have not turned quite as brown. You don't want them all to be too brown because then your nut's going to be like over roasted and that's really not a nice flavor. And in order to make this nut butter, you should really blitz these when they are still hot. They blitz much easier when they're hot. So that's what we're going to do right now. The higher power blender you have, the better. I'm not really sure. This is a kind of a stick blender job. Really, you need a jug blender or something like a Robo Coupe that has a wide base. Basically, you need a decent quality blender for this. All right, so we've got all our nuts in here, all ready to go. Just nuts, just roasted nuts, nothing else. Don't put anything else in there. Don't put oil in there. I spent years making nut butter, and at this stage, I would add in some oil to help it blend. That's a really bad idea. I only learned this recently. Don't put oil in at the start. It should only be nuts, only the oil from the nuts at this stage. And also, while you're blending, you're going to be like, it's not going to work, it's not working, it looks really pasty, it's not coming together. It just takes time. Be patient. I'm not a patient person. This just needs to blitz for honestly, a good 5 minutes, which is actually, it's kind of a lot in blitzing terms, I think. Or maybe I'm just extremely impatient. Start it slow to start off. And like with any blender related recipe, about halfway through, we're going to scrape down all the sides and we're going to start again from the lowest speed just to get everything nice and integrated. As you can see, we're getting there. It's definitely looking like nut butter, but we're not quite there just yet. So let's go again. We're just going to continue to scrape and blend. That's the name of the game here. It's getting, yeah, I mean, the consistency now is pretty much perfect. So we're going to add in our seasonings and then we're going to add in our pumpkin seeds. So at this stage, oh, look at this. It's really good. So what goes in the butter at this stage is completely up to you. Some people would just leave it as is. I like to add a little bit of salt, a tiny little bit of sugar, maybe a little sunflower oil just to stretch it out a tiny bit. Looking at it now, it looks pretty great. I kind of don't want to put any sunflower oil in case it, like, you know, upsets the delicate balance, but I am going to put some in because just to stretch it out. We need a little bit of bang for our buck here, okay? So we're going to put the lid back on. Well, first of all, actually, we're going to get in a little bit of salt because we don't need the lid on to be that. Just a decent pinch of salt. All recipes need a decent pinch of salt, especially nut butters. They always need salt. Imho, okay? Always need salt, imho. Put this bad boy back on and we're gonna get it on the lowest setting, just like mixing, basically. Let's put up to 1. Let's put up to 1. Let's put up to 2. Yeah, like that's a good speed. Okay, so it's on 3, but whatever that means, like a lowish speed. And then we're gonna stream in a little bit of sunflower oil. Just a tiny bit, I would say about 50 mils, less, maybe 25 mils. Just a little bit. Because you really don't want this to split. That would be upsetting, but we do want to stretch it out ever so slightly. When you're adding in your oil, you can probably turn up your speed a little bit. Yeah, that's perfect. Just a little bit. Don't upset it. I think that's good. Just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. And then we're going to add in some maple syrup. I'm putting in about 2 tablespoons. So I'm going to cover this and blitz it on high before we add in our pumpkin seeds. The pumpkin seeds are just to add a little bit of texture to the whole situation. And she's good. Scrape and repeat. She's good. Oh, she is good. Oh my god. Look, look. Look how good this is. Like, I've never seen any nut butter in the shop look as good as this. And look, I understand. You gotta make a buck. Okay, we all gotta make a living. Nut butters in the shops are, you know, cut with a lot more oil and stuff. And I understand that, but, you know, we're at home now. We're not trying to make money. The only person we're trying to make happy is ourselves. So don't worry about making money on this, guy. This is just for you. Okay. We're just going to give this a little taste. Just off the lid. Yum. I think it needs a tiny bit more salt. I'm going to put in a tiny bit more salt. Tiny bit more salt. And a tiny bit more maple syrup as well. Just a small bit. Just a tiny bit more. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. No big deal. And then we're going to add in our pumpkin seeds. Get our lid on. I'm just going to blitz this slowly. We don't want these pumpkin seeds to blitz entirely into the butter. So now we have this beautiful nut butter with lovely shards of roasted pumpkin seeds going through it. You could add in a little bit of spice if you want at this stage, whatever you want. But I think this is pretty much perfect. It's perfect on toast. Great on porridge, great on muesli. Muesli? Who eats muesli? Like, why do I say muesli? So what you want to do is jar these up in nice, manageable little portions, or you could just do one big jar if you want. These make a great gift, so put it in something cute if you can. This looks so good, honestly. Like, it's just freaking gorge. You're never gonna buy nut butter again after this. Seriously, like, it's so easy. You're just blitzing stuff. You're just blitzing stuff. It's not even a thing. And you know, in this episode today, I used pecans, hazelnuts, almonds, pumpkin seeds, but you can use whatever you want. Pretty much all nuts behave very similarly once they've been roasted. You can use whatever nuts you want, okay? Go crazy. Mix it up, as I would say. Don't add sugar, don't add salt, add spice, add more sugar, add more salt. Do whatever you want. This recipe is yours to mess with. So let me know how it goes. All right, that's about it. This is how you make your own nut butter. I'm going to show you in the next episode what this would pair great with. Wink, wink. The answer is thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Slide into my DMs on Instagram. I'm at Holly Dalton Chef. Nut butter, it's great, it's delicious, it's easy. Let me know how you get on. Let me know if you have any trouble. Comment below with, what you ended up doing with your nut butter. I want to know. And don't be afraid to mix it up. Catch you next time.